Hey, this is Michael Smallwood from Halloween Kills, and you're watching SlasherPepper.
Hey guys, SlasherPepper, and welcome to another video. Today is another interview, and this time with Michael Smallwood. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Happy to have you here, man.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. It's great to hear. And my first question was, do you have any new projects, something you can plug?
Yeah, I'm in a couple of episodes of the new season of The Righteous Gemstones on HBO, which will be premiering January 9th.
Awesome. I'll put a link to that in the description then for everyone to check out. And well, to go back to an earlier not episode, but movie you worked on, Halloween Kills. What was it like doing that movie, man?
I mean, just an absolute blast, right? I was super excited to get brought back to be in this movie,
right?
And to get extended role to get to do more. And
right, did you expect that though? Like, was it kind of clear when you filmed the 2018 one that maybe in the future you would reprise this?
Not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
When I filmed 2018, I assumed that was it. I was like, okay, I get to do this one little part. It's a really cool scene to be a part of. And that'll be it. And then, so in 2019, like that summer is when they called me and were like, hey, we'd like to bring your character back for the sequel. And I was like, absolutely. Like, I'd love that idea. And yeah, I mean, it was a total surprise for me, but one of the coolest surprises ever. And then I got to head to Wilmington and work on the movie with David and Carmela and Anthony Michael Hall and Nancy and Lindsay. It was great.
I bet. And I think that whole world building is great, man, in those movies. I think like the lady that gets like stabbed in the neck with the neon light, she's like the cemetery keeper, I think, in the first one.
Yeah. And, one thing that I know David really wanted to do with this movie was to sort of build out the sense of the rest of Haddonfield, right? Showing that everyone's affected by Michael. And the best way to do that, and I love that he did this, is to sort of bring back all these smaller tertiary characters, right? The grave digger, Carmela and I, right? Bringing back all these different characters to sort of, say like, oh, other people had stuff going on that night, and this is how they get tied up into stuff going on with Michael Myers. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this. I mean, probably, but the couple that lives in Michael Myers' house, Big John and Little John, there's actually like an advertisement on a bench in the background somewhere where you can see them. That's so funny. It took me like 5 watches to notice that.
I think I noticed it maybe my third time watching it.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, oh, right. In the scene where like Tommy Doyle's rounding everybody up, I was like, oh, look, it's the Johns on the bench.
Real cool. And how was that? I mean, I was kind of crushed when I heard, Halloween Kills was being postponed. How was it for you? Because, well, I mean, I have like 5 videos ready to be uploaded to my channel, and I'm already like, I can't wait for people to see this. But if I was in a movie and that was postponed, and I want people to see my movie, how was that for you? Was that kind of...
It was hard. It was really hard. I had been, we filmed that movie at the end of 2019. So by the time it would have been a year if it had come out last year. And all year I had sort of I was like excited about it because I was like, oh man, like this movie is going to come out, like people are going to finally get to see it. And there were just a lot of things that I was looking forward to. And as the year started going on and the pandemic, raged on and on, things started disappearing. And I was like, oh, but at least Halloween Kills is coming out. And
man.
As we got to the summer, I was like, there's no way. They're either going to postpone it or they're going to send it straight to streaming. And honestly, I'm actually really happy that they went with the decision to postpone it. I was devastated at the time. I was really sad about it. Because I just really wanted people to see it. I really wanted, to have this movie out there and in front of people.
Right.
And when they postponed it, I was really bummed out. But I'm so happy that they did, because if they had sent it to streaming last year and everyone had just watched it at home, it still would have been cool to have it out. But getting to see it in the theater, with audiences was a joy, like an absolute delight. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity last year during the pandemic. So I'm really glad that they waited an extra year. Sure. It was a very long wait.
Oh, I bet.
Like I laugh about this all the time, but like on set, working on the scene where Vanessa tries to get me to go to the car, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go check the car for Michael Myers. Like, you film a scene like that, and then you wait for audiences to see it so that whether or not people will laugh, like whether people think it's funny. And I joke with my friends all the time, try telling a joke and waiting 2 years to hear anybody laugh at it.
That's funny.
It's really hard.
That definitely puts it into perspective.
So that first time watching it in an audience and hearing people actually laugh at that joke, I almost melted into the floor of like, oh, it's funny.
Yes. Hell yeah. And I bet as an actor, like, it's also, well, it is your resume, people see this and potentially they want to hire you or work with you in some way. And yeah, that 2 years, man.
Well, and it's such a weird thing too, of, having this movie, having it on your resume, but like, because no one's seen it, they don't really know what it means. And especially with a horror movie like this, if you say like, I'm in a new horror movie, then, people don't really know what that means until they see the movie. Like, okay, well, maybe you're someone who gets killed very quickly, or but the entire time of being like, no, I have like a really cool role in the movie, you have to go see it, and like having nothing to show for it. So for 2 years being like, I'm in that movie, and people being like, cool. Like, all right, when you see it, you'll be impressed.
Right. It's like, yeah, sure, you probably just show up for 2 seconds getting into a car again, huh?
Right. Especially after having been very briefly in 2018, like, they brought me back. Like, oh, why'd they bring you back? Oh, they're gonna just kill you very quickly. And like, no, I'm a whole character.
Yeah, that's great, man. I loved it. And well, we just talked about horror movies, but are you much of a horror movie fan yourself? And if so, what are like some of your favorites?
I've certainly come back. For a long time, I wasn't a big horror movie fan, but I've definitely come back to it in the last few years. I'm a big fan. I mean, the Scream movies are my favorite horror movies. I think the original Scream is just one of the best movies that's ever been made. I'm a big fan of Scream 2. I like Scream 3 is great, if not as good as the other ones. And Scream 4 is great. I love them all. But there are also other horror movies I really like. Candyman, both the original and the sequel from this year. Right. I think The Descent is a great movie. I think I'm a big fan of Get Out, and my favorite horror director right now might be Julie Ducournau, who did Raw and Titan this year. Like, nobody's doing body horror like she is, and it is fascinating to watch and horrifying. And I kind of hate watching them, but I also love them, and will watch anything she does. Horror has been a genre that I've actually really been into the last decade or so. I've been a big fan.
Nice. And were you ever much of a fan of the earlier Halloween films? Like, how was that going into the movies for you?
I had seen the original, and I had seen Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection. So I had seen some of them. I wasn't like, I wasn't a huge fan. My wife's a huge fan, right? Like it's her favorite horror franchise.
Well, she must be proud of you then.
She's very excited. She's very happy that they killed me. It was like her favorite thing that's ever happened. She was very, very happy about that. But so I had seen some of them, but I wasn't a huge fan of the franchise beforehand. Although I do think, like I said, the original one is one of the, I think it's a very important movie, and it's one that I've actually taught in classes before. Yeah. And there are things about Halloween H2O I really like. There are moments that I think about all the time. But Halloween Resurrection is really bad, and I don't really care. I've only seen one of the Rob Zombie movies, but I didn't really care for it because I don't like that he explains why Michael Myers is killing people.
Right. I always did kind of enjoy it because it's like a different take on it, Mm-hmm. Because I'll watch the original and I won't be like, oh, but Rob Zombie kind of explained it. I see that as a whole new timeline.
Oh, absolutely.
I know for some people it still doesn't work regardless of that, but I don't know. For me, it just works.
I don't mind that it's a different timeline. I don't like that in Rob Zombie's movies, Michael Myers is a different monster. Like what I like about Michael Myers is that we don't know why he's still doing this. We don't know why he cares to kill these people.
Right.
And he just doesn't stop. And in Rob Zombie's, the first 30 minutes set up why he murders his family to the point where I was like, you should murder your family, bro. They're terrible.
Right.
And if I'm on Michael's side, something has gone wrong. I shouldn't understand why you're killing these people.
That's a very good point. I'll give you that. And here's a philosophical question. If you ruled the world, what would it look like?
Oh, that is a really good question. If I ruled the world, what would it look like? Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this is going to sound kind of cliched, but I would try and make it fair. I don't know. I feel like the world is so sort of chaotic, and I think it's disappointing and frustrating that we have the means to make everything in the world fair, but we just don't do it. So if I ruled the world, I think I would make everything as fair as possible, right? Like I don't understand the concept of in modern times of people not having housing, of people not having food, of children not having access to education. Like these are choices. And so choices that we as a society allow. Like we allow those things to happen because we could fix them if we wanted to. So I think that's what it would look like. I certainly think I would work to make everything fair. Like everyone deserves an equal shot. Everyone deserves an equal shot to start whatever life they're going to have. And I think making things fair and equitable and leveling the playing field would be the first thing I would do.
Awesome. That's actually the first time I've heard this answer, Often it's like, take care of poverty or war or peace and that stuff. But this is actually a really great answer.
But I think you answer all those things by making things fair.
Exactly. Yeah.
Education improves everyone, you can improve the education of an entire classroom by making sure that all children have housing, food, and like an equal start, right? Children, if you take children out of poverty, you can solve education. If you solve education, you can solve crime, right? So I think I genuinely think all these things stem from the same place of our world just isn't fair. It's not built to be fair, and it creates a lot of the problems that we have.
Right.
I think so. It's where I would start anyway.
Take charge. Do it. Go for it. And do you have any advice for other upcoming actors? I mean, you're definitely making a name for yourself right now, but anything you've learned so far?
I've learned a lot. So one big piece of advice for upcoming actors is to ask questions. A lot of times, and I've been guilty of it myself. Like, you don't want to bother people, you know what I mean? Or you kind of assume, like, ask questions of people who have done it. Don't ask questions of people who don't know what they're talking about or haven't been a part of the process. But don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for the things that you want and for opportunities. And then, like I said, I have a bunch of advice for aspiring actors, but also too, like, I'm a firm believer in, we use the phrase, like, get your foot in the door all the time. And I think the problem with that phrase is that people assume that there's only one door. And it's ridiculous because, like, yeah, this door seems to have a hard time for you to get your foot in it. But also, like, on this floor alone, there are 5 doors and like 20 windows. So if this door isn't open, that's fine. Just find an open door or window.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, like, one person's path isn't yours. Like, find another way in, but, adapt to it. If something isn't working for you, like something that worked for me to get me where I am might not work for everyone. If that doesn't work for you, that's fine. There are other paths that will. You don't have to do exactly what I or George Clooney or anybody else did to get here, as long as you get here. So once you're inside, you're inside. Great, you made it in.
Yeah.
So find an open door or window and walk through, climb through, force your way through, get someone to open it for you. Like, just find a way in.
Awesome. Great advice. And here's the final question. Another philosophical one. If your life was a movie, how would you want it to end?
Ooh.
Kind of dark too.
That is kind of dark. I do. Spoiler alert. I'm sure I know how it would end. If my life was a movie, how would I want it to end? You know what? I don't know. Some sort of complete, like, out of nowhere musical and dance number.
Nice.
like you're watching the movie and clearly my character is about to die or is thinking about whether or not he's going to make a decision or however you structure the movie, and then just musical number. Credits.
Love it. Great way to go out.
And like everybody's like 8.5 ends that way. There's a movie that ends that way where, like, you see a soldier. Oh God, I cannot remember the name of the movie. But the guy from Holy Motors is in it, and he's like end of the movie, and he's about to commit suicide, and it doesn't focus on that at all. It just cuts to him dancing. Like, it just cuts to that character dancing, and then it just rolls credits during that. And I'm like, okay, that's a brilliant way to end this part of the movie, because
right.
I don't need to see what's about to happen, but I kind of like seeing this sort of like uninhibited examination of, like, emotion. I was like, I don't know. It's a very weird answer to that question, but I stand by it.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, unrelated musical number.
I love it. Is there anything you would like to add to the interview?
No, I mean, check me out on Instagram at Michael Smallwood Forever. And especially, like, I do on Mondays, I live stream myself watching various movies. So definitely check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
For audiences, it's sometimes very difficult for me because sometimes the movies are terrible. Right. Yeah. Awesome.
I'll put all of your social medias in the description, so you can all definitely check it out. And to everybody watching, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.